Hello, my name is Jennifer Rodriguez and this is project number 2 typographer poster. So in this assignment we are going to be talking about a typographer of our choice and we're making a promotional poster about them. Let me share my screen. Now the typographer I chose is Tobias Ferry Jones. He made a few typefaces. Right here you can see the Gotham O I ended up using to carry some text. I ended up using the axis line right here to align the text a lot better so it's all properly displayed. And then I also ended up using Archer, some letters from Archer. I used the H and the E right here, as you can see. So with those ones I ended up kind of like overlapping them a little bit. I used the H's stem bracket to lead it into the eye of the E, like the serif kind of right here you can kind of see the serif kind of goes into that E, and then the between the stress and the tail of the E, it kind of overlaps the H right there. So I ended up doing that with this, and then the colors all are supposed to represent the flag of the Yale Art School, which he actually taught at. So I ended up putting the colors on the O right here, the Gotham O. The blue was on the left side of the flag, so I ended up putting the blue on this top one right here, and then the red and yellow were right here, and of course there was yellow on this flag as well on this side. And then in the circle in the center of the flag, there was blue and yellow in the opposite side, so I kind of intentionally put these like elements to kind of represent the flag. But when he was creating the typeface Gotham, he ended up having to walk around New York City because that's where he created it. He was walking around New York City thinking about, okay, I have to make this typeface structural and it has to be very like architectural because that's what his client wanted, which was the GQ magazine. And because of that, I ended up using, in my beginning layouts for my compositions, I used a few of these really geometric squares and like rectangles before because I was trying to mimic like a city, because in New York City there's obviously a lot of buildings everywhere, so that's kind of what he used to get his idea for some of these typefaces, mostly just Gotham. But yeah, I kind of made it more abstract than that because it was not laying out really well. I kept getting a lot of clutter because I had too many elements here. These little strokes that are around this line of text right here, I initially wanted those to kind of represent like the streets that he was walking on because they're a delicate line. This one right here has some cuts throughout the stroke, and it kind of represented that. I was trying to make it seem like it's a street, but then it didn't really look like one, and it was very delicate, and I felt like it also kind of represented another text or typeface that he created, which was called Nixie 1, I believe. And I did initially have some of that typeface in here as well, but again, it was too many elements that were all around the poster and it got very cluttered, so I had to really simplify and make this look more organic now. I did add a few lines as well right here underneath, sorry about that, underneath his name, and those were just because his name felt a little incomplete to me. It felt like it didn't really have like a thorough like place in here. So I tried to make it seem like it would kind of match with these other very delicate lines over here. So I did mention before that he was a professor for the art school of Yale. Although that didn't really completely define like who he was, I feel like that was a big part of his life, and that's why I decided to use those colors. Initially I did want to just stick with black and whites and grays. That looked really nice, but again, I feel like it needed to have more of an emphasis on him and not just look nice. So that's why I ended up having to change a lot of these colors. When inserting the text, it was a little difficult because the text was either too large or too small. In my opinion, when it was too large, it had no sense of flow at all. There was just text basically everywhere, and there was so many elements in the background where it kind of took away from it. It made it really hard to determine where the text was and how to identify it properly. But when I made the text a lot smaller and it looked nicer, the text was not very legible, and it was very hard to determine what I was necessarily saying. The spacing between them, the leading, was very, it was either too close if it was too big, or it was too far apart if it was too small, which made it very difficult to read it. So I ended up coming up with this size right here that seemed a little bit in between, where I made this one, you can see it's like a little bit smaller just by a few points, and this one right here is just slightly bigger, just so that it has a better sense of flow and everything looks like more organic and it looks like it flows a lot better. So that's kind of how I ended up inserting the text here. Finding where to put it was a little difficult as well, just because so for the O right here, I was actually not going to have this O having text in it at all, but I kind of didn't know where to put the last piece of text, and I thought, oh, if I just put it in the Gotham O, it might look nice as well. So I mean, I tried that. It ended up working out, which I was very happy with. I also ended up putting some elements here in these more geometric or architectural pieces as well, because they did stand out a lot more, and I ended up having to give them backgrounds though, so that it doesn't bleed, the text doesn't bleed in with the background and make it really hard to read. I did give both of these right here a transparency though, to the, so it's not opaque, the background is not like opaque, just because I saw that I do have some letters coming in behind this one right here, like the Archer H is going to be showing slightly right here. You can kind of make that out, the serif. I did that because I wanted to really keep that element of it. I really wanted it to be a little slightly transparent, just so that we don't lose any details here, and it's kind of, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really nice to add that. But yeah, that was basically my project number 2. I hope that it ended up matching all of the requirements here and satisfying all of that. So thank you.